Hey, everybody, welcome to another deep dive
Yeah.
into a world that I think is really fascinating. It's both powerful and personal.
Mm-hmm.
Black poetry.
Yes.
And we're not just talking about rhymes and rhythm here.
Right.
We're talking about how words can heal,
Yeah.
how words can inspire, and even how they can spark change,
Absolutely.
especially in the Black community.
Yeah. And it's such a timely deep dive, too.
Oh, how so?
Well, today happens to be Jupiter Hammond's birthday,
Yeah.
and he's got this incredible title,
Oh, yeah.
the first published Black poet in the U.S.
Oh, wow. So first published Black poet in the U.S.?
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Huge deal.
His work must have been pretty groundbreaking back then.
Absolutely groundbreaking. I mean, imagine the societal context back then.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Just to put pen to paper and share his voice,
Right.
that took immense courage.
Yeah.
And a lot of his poems were really focused on faith and
Yeah.
spirituality.
Right.
And I think in a lot of ways, his work really paved the way for all the generations of Black poets to come.
It's like he cracked open the door.
Cracked it wide open.
Yeah. And speaking of powerful voices,
Mm-hmm.
I think one that really jumps out for me is Audre Lorde.
Oh, yes.
Her writing is so raw.
Yeah.
It's so direct,
Mm-hmm.
especially when she's talking about being
Yeah.
a woman,
Right.
Black and queer.
Lorde's impact is undeniable.
Yeah.
She wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo at all,
Right.
to really call out injustice,
Yeah.
And one of her poems, A Woman Speaks,
Yes.
it just hits you with this powerful declaration, I am woman
Yeah.
and not white. And
Oh.
it's like she's reclaiming her identity, her
Right.
power right there on the page.
It gives me chills just
Yeah.
hearing you say it.
It's powerful.
It's not just about being a woman.
Right.
It's about being a Black woman
Yeah,
in a world that's often trying to silence you.
exactly. And for so many people,
Yeah.
especially those facing multiple forms of oppression,
Mm.
her words were a lifeline.
Right.
It was just this validation
Mhm.
that they weren't alone in their experiences.
Yeah.
In a way, Lorbet's boldness reminds me of Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Everyone knows her work.
She's a household name.
Yeah, and it seems like almost everybody I know
Right.
has like a favorite Maya Angelou poem.
Yeah.
But what stands out to me is how she tackles this theme of resilience,
Mm-hmm.
this theme of rising above,
Yes.
even when the world is trying to keep you down.
Absolutely. And still, Race.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about iconic,
Yeah.
but it's not just the title.
Well, yeah.
It's the way she owns her strength,
Mhm.
her beauty. And I love those lines. Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs?
Oh, it's just
It's defiant, it's celebratory, it's
Yeah.
empowering.
so empowering.
It really is.
It's almost like she's daring you to underestimate her,
Yeah,
daring you to hold her back.
exactly. And that's the beauty of both Lorde and Angelou.
Yeah,
They use their art to express these personal truths,
right.
but to uplift,
Yeah.
to inspire others to find their own voice
Mhm.
and to fight for their own liberation.
Their own liberation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's so powerful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me how these poets, they're so different,
Yeah.
but they both speak to that experience
Mhm.
of being strong
Yeah.
when there's so much pressure
Mhm.
to be otherwise.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't just about being strong, right?
No.
There's that element of healing too.
Yeah.
Like poetry can be a balm
It really can.
for the soul.
Yeah. That's such a crucial point.
Mm,
I think poetry offers this incredible space
yeah.
to explore all these human emotions,
Right.
even the ones that are hard to talk about, pain, anger, trauma.
Right.
You're giving a voice to the unspoken.
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful.
I'm thinking about Dana Smith's work here.
Yes.
They don't shy away from these topics at all.
No, they don't.
Racism, homophobia, violence.
You're right.
It's all there on the page.
And Smith has talked about how channeling those impulses, those possibly violent impulses
Yeah.
into art is a form of healing,
Right.
a way to transform pain into something meaningful.
Yeah.
And I think that really resonates with a lot of people. The
Yeah.
idea that you can use creativity to cope,
Yeah.
to process these difficult experiences.
It's like taking something that could destroy you and turning it into art.
Absolutely.
It's almost alchemical.
It really is. And it's not just about individual healing either.
Right.
It's also about creating these connections,
Mhm.
building community, especially for those who have been marginalized
Yeah.
and silenced.
Yeah.
You read a poem
Mhm.
that reflects your own struggles.
Yeah.
It can be so validating. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not alone in this
Mm.
in this pain and this experience.
This reminds me of Amanda Gorman.
Yep.
How she tackles these huge societal issues.
Right.
Injustice, oppression.
Inequality.
Yeah, inequality. But even when she's addressing these really heavy topics, there's always this undercurrent of hope, of resilience.
Yeah.
I think about The Hill We Climb.
Oh, yes.
Where she repeats that phrase, we will rise.
So powerful.
We will rise.
Yeah, that repetition is so powerful. It's
Yeah.
like this call to action, this reminder that even when we're facing adversity, there's strength in our unity, in coming together to fight for a better future.
It's like poetry can be a mirror,
Yes.
reflecting our pain, but it's also like this window into hope.
Yeah.
Like things could be different. And it's not just these famous poets making a difference, right?
Right.
There's so many people using poetry in everyday life to create change.
Absolutely. Think about all the community initiatives that are happening all over the place.
Yeah, like what?
Youth programs, open mic nights, writing workshops.
Right.
These spaces provide outlets for self-expression, for connection, and for healing, especially within the Black community.
So taking poetry out of the textbook.
Yes, exactly.
And into the streets, into people's lives.
Yeah.
What kind of things are happening in these spaces?
Oh, so many things. There are programs where young people are using poetry to explore their identity, to process their experiences and build their confidence. There are open mics where folks can share their stories, connect with others, and find their voice in this really supportive environment. And there are workshops that teach people how to use poetry as a tool for healing and personal growth.
What strikes me? It's the accessibility of it all.
Yes.
You don't need a fancy degree or expensive equipment to engage with poetry.
Nope.
It's just your words and a willingness to share your truth.
Exactly. And that's what makes these community initiatives so powerful.
Yeah.
They break down those barriers and create spaces where everyone can feel seen and heard and valued.
Right. Like poetry becomes this bridge. Connecting people across different generations, backgrounds, experiences.
Exactly.
And it's not limited to these community settings, right?
Right.
I've heard about poetry being used in therapy and other healing modalities.
You're absolutely right.
Oh, wow.
Therapists are increasingly recognizing the power of poetry to help people process trauma, manage difficult emotions, cultivate self-awareness. It's such a versatile tool.
It really is.
Yeah.
So I think even beyond like formal therapy, there's something inherently healing about just reading and writing poetry.
I couldn't agree more.
About finding the words that resonate with your soul.
Yes. Finding those words that speak to you on such a deep level. It's like poetry offers the space for reflection, for introspection, for making sense of the world and our place in it. And in a world that often feels so chaotic and overwhelming, it can be so grounding and restorative.
It's like finding this little piece of peace in the midst of all this chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like poetry gives you that permission to just feel, to sit with all that stuff that's uncomfortable and to find that beauty in the unexpected.
And it's not just about individual healing. It's about sparking this broader social change.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how poetry's been used throughout history as this tool for protest resistance, for giving a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah, poetry can be so powerful that way. Really shining a light on injustice, challenging the status quo, inspiring people to take action.
And it's not even limited to the written word anymore.
Right.
You've got spoken word poetry, slam poetry.
Yeah.
These forms bring poetry to life in a whole new way.
Yeah.
It's visceral. It's immediate. It's impossible to ignore.
I've seen some spoken word performances that just blow me away.
Oh, me too.
He's like, the energy of the words just jumps right off the stage and into your soul.
Exactly. And think about how we encounter poetry these days. It's not just these dusty old books. You see these young poets on Instagram. They're making these art pieces with poems.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you seen any of those visual poems?
Yeah.
It's like they're remixing the whole idea of what poetry can be.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's like poetry is constantly evolving, finding new ways to connect with people and stay relevant.
Exactly.
But even with all that innovation,
I
think it's important to remember where it all started.
Absolutely.
The roots.
the roots of Black poetry?
Yeah.
The legacy that has been passed down through all these generations?
We've only just scratched the surface today.
Oh, yeah, we have!
There are so many incredible Black poets out there, past and present,
yes,
whose work deserves to be read.
Absolutely.
It's like this vast tapestry of voices, styles, experiences, just waiting for us to discover it.
And as you delve deeper into this world, you'll start to notice all these connections, the threads that weave together different poets, different eras, and you'll see how all these themes of resilience, resistance, hope, have been explored and reimagined over time.
Like each poem is a piece of this bigger conversation.
Exactly.
This dialogue that's been going on for centuries.
And it's a conversation that we can all be a part of, whether you're like a poetry fanatic or you're just starting out. There's something here for you.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I just want to encourage everyone listening, keep exploring Black poetry.
Yeah.
Pick up a book by a poet you've never even heard of.
Right.
Go to an open mic night in your city. See what speaks to you.
Yes.
What challenges you. What makes you feel alive.
And don't just read the words.
Right.
Feel them. Let them resonate in your soul. Let them spark your own creativity.
Yeah.
And let them inspire you to make a difference.
Yeah.
Because Black poetry is not just about words on a page.
Right.
It's about the power of language to heal, to connect, and to transform.